Um, so, uh, I want to begin with this optical illusion slide, which is a triangle of another kind, because I think it illustrates some issues about Popper's three worlds that make certain things very clear. You see a triangle that isn't there. That is, it isn't in world one. The triangle, the large triangle that is not the black delineated triangle that arises in your mind, as we say. But in fact, it arises in your mind and emerges out into world three. And it emerges out into world three by means of some other artifacts that already exist in world three called triangles that you already know. But this triangle is not a normally embodied triangle in world one either. In fact, it isn't in world one, and yet world one is participating with world three and with you, your mental world, in order to create that Kinesian triangle in the middle. So what this illustrates is some ways, which could be analyzed more deeply, and we won't, of how the three worlds are all interacting with one another at all times. And that without any one of them, the entire situation wouldn't happen at all. So I'm going to come back to that, but I wanted to give us some of Popper's words, and there is a lecture which you probably know, the Tanner lecture, which summarizes his points of view very beautifully. The three worlds, of course, I'm indicated here. And I also want to point out that, in a way, world three is a modern version of the Platonic world. I'll come back to that. But here's Popper's words themselves in summing up his lecture. To sum up, we arrive at the following picture of the universe. There is the physical universe, world one, with its most important sub-universe, that of the living organisms. World two, the world of conscious experience, emerges as an evolutionary product from the world of organisms. World three, the world of the products of the human mind, emerges as an evolutionary product from world two. In each of these cases, the emerging product has a tremendous feedback effect upon the world from which it emerged. For example, the physical-chemical composition of our atmosphere, which contains so much oxygen, is a product of life, a feedback effect of the life of plants, and especially the emergence of world three has a tremendous feedback effect upon world two and through its intervention upon world one. The feedback effect between world three and world two is of particular importance. Our minds are the creators of world three, but world three in its turn not only informs our minds, but largely creates them. The very idea of a self depends on world three theories or ideas, especially upon a theory of time, which underlies the identity of the self of yesterday, of today, and of tomorrow. The learning of a language, which is a world three object, is itself partly a creative act and partly a feedback effect, and the full consciousness of self is anchored in our human language. Our relationship to our work is a feedback relation. Our work grows through us and we grow through our work. This growth, this self-transcendence, has a rational side and a non-rational side. The creation of new ideas, of new theories, is partly non-rational. It is a matter of what is called intuition or imagination. But intuition is fallible, as is everything human. Intuition must be controlled through rational criticism, which is the most important product of human language. This control through criticism is the rational aspect of the growth of knowledge and of our personal growth. It is one of the three most important things that make us human. The other two are compassion and the consciousness of our fallibility. And he emphasizes that the entities of world three are what they are very much because of the action of criticism and the possibility of criticism. I want to compare Popper's three worlds with another three worlds that are very common in science and illustrated here by Roger Penrose. They are the mental world, the physical world, and the Platonic world. And scientists often think of the Platonic world. The Platonic world is very close, but not quite the same, obviously, and has a longer history than Popper's idea of world three, the world of mind productions, the world of productions from human beings. And many of us who would not take on the Platonic world, say in mathematics, would opt for something like Popper's world three rather than a Platonic world. And many of the things that you say would be similar, but you'll notice that in this standard, almost standard science picture of three world, the Platonic world influences directly into the physical world from, say, the point of view of a theoretical physicist. And this is where it goes awry a bit from Popper's point of view, and I agree that what happens between us and the physical world and our constructs happens through us, through the fact that we're there and the physical world is there and the world of artifacts and constructs. The other thing that happens in Popper, which is quite remarkable, is that he calls his third world objectivity. And this is very much the way mathematicians have a tendency to think, that that what is most objective and most real are the abstractions. But of course, in Popper, it is well mediated by the fact that none of these worlds exists without the others. Penrose, on the other hand, is engaging in a metaphor which we can also play with, which is the question, what unity are we talking about when we talk about the three worlds? And in Penrose's playfulness, he has paralleled his Platonic world, physical world, or mental world, or a world of artifacts, physical world and mental world, into an invention of his, the Penrose triangle, which is an artifact in world three, of course, and it exists for you. There it is, right in front of you, but it doesn't actually exist in world one, and yet it's related to world one, and you see how it's related to world one by covering up one of its angles. And then you see an object in world one, a perfectly good constructible framework, which doesn't meet itself underneath the gray circle. So the impossibility must be there, or perhaps it's over here, or perhaps it's over here. Being an impossible figure, its impossibility is non-local, and yet it is deeply related to the worlds of actuality, and yet it comes about through the triplicity of the three worlds. And I say that the unity of the world, as conceived perhaps through Popper, comes about in a similar way through the triplicity of its three worlds brought into one, and brought into one where? In the mental world? In the physical world? In the world of artifacts? Indeed, in all three. And we can compare all of this with our cybernetic ideas. In a reflexive cybernetic world of language and conversation, there's no distinction between language and meta-language. And that means that the world of our objective artifacts and the world of the mental world are right together and can be separated, or they can be put back together. It's your choice. And there is no distinction between the observer and the observed world. In this way, there are three worlds, and yet there is